Greetings! Welcome to Saint of the Week, the show where we choose one saint's feast day from this week and discuss their lives and their impact on the church. The saint for this week is St. John Paul II, whose feast day is October 22nd, this Sunday.
John Paul was born Karl Josef Wojtyła on May 18, 1920, in Wadowice, Poland. He was the youngest of 3 children, but his older sister died before he was born. Before he turned 21, his mother, father, and brother had died as well.
In 1938, Karl began studies at the Jagiellonian University in Krakow. He learned philology and various languages, and also received some mandatory military training. In 1939, however, Poland was invaded by Nazi Germany, and the school was closed. Every able-bodied man was required to work, and so for the next 4 years he worked in a variety of jobs.
After his father's death in 1941, Karl began to seriously consider the priesthood. In October of the next year, he enrolled in an underground seminary and was ordained on All Saints' Day in 1946. During his time as a seminarian, he helped protect many Polish Jews from the Nazis. After his ordination, he was sent to Rome for further study by the Archbishop of Krakow.
Karl received a doctorate of philosophy in 1948 and returned to Poland that summer. He was given his first pastoral assignment in the village of Nigowice and was transferred a year later to the parish of St. Florian in Krakow. Over the next 10 years, he became very prolific in his writings, both literary and theological. He was a teacher and a spiritual director to his students, who affectionately called him Uncle.
On July 4th, 1958, while Karl was on a kayaking trip in North Poland, he was appointed auxiliary bishop of Krakow. 4 years later, he participated in the Second Vatican Council, where he contributed to the Decree on Religious Freedom and the Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the modern world. He also participated in the Assembly of the Synod of Bishops, and in 1964, Pope Paul VI appointed him Archbishop of Krakow. Just 3 years later, Pope Paul promoted him to cardinal.
In August of 1978, after the death of Pope Paul, the cardinals gathered to elect a new pope. John Paul I was chosen, but he had a shockingly short papacy of only 33 days. The Second Papal Conclave began, and Karl was ultimately elected, becoming the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. He chose the name John Paul in honor of his predecessor.
The papacy of Pope John Paul II was anything but uneventful. He traveled to 129 countries and was also the creator of World Youth Day. He wrote 14 encyclicals and also the renowned Theology of the Body, a teaching on sexuality in Catholicism. He canonized 482 saints and beatified 1,338 people, while also instilling reforms in the Church. He greatly improved relations between the Catholic Church and Judaism, Islam, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Church of England.
On May 13, 1981, as John Paul entered St. Peter's Square to address an audience, he was shot by Mehmet Ali Agca, a Turkish gunman who was a member of the fascist group Grey Wolves. The Pope was rushed to the hospital and surgery was performed. He came out alive, stating that Our Lady of Fatima had helped keep him alive during his ordeal. 2 years later, he visited his attacker in prison and forgave him.
In the last years of John Paul's life, he suffered from Parkinson's disease and had to cut back on his many activities. Beginning in February of 2005, he was assailed with other illnesses, including influenza and a urinary tract infection. On April 2nd, he passed away from heart failure. His last words were, "Allow me to depart to the house of the Father." He is patron saint of Krakow, Poland, World Youth Day, Young Catholics, Civica, Families, and St. John Paul II University Parish.
Pope John Paul II, often referred to as John Paul the Great, was a witness of peace and hope to the world. His motto was Totus Tuus, which means totally yours, signifying his complete devotion to the Blessed Mother and to her Son, Jesus Christ. He was a guide to young people in particular, encouraging them to live their faith through action. He suffered greatly in his life, but trusted God all throughout, and the world can best remember him by his constant reminder, "Be not afraid."
St. John Paul II, pray for us. Our honorable mentions for this week are
Saint John of Capistrano, Saint Anthony Mary Claret, Saint Antonio de Sant'Anna Galvao, Saint Peter of Alcantara, Blessed Bartholomew of Vicenza, and Saint Simon and Jude.
And of course, there are thousands of other saints who undoubtedly have their feast days this week, but there are so many of them that there is no way we could list them all here.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Saint of the Week. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Peace be to you.